Yeah, welcome back to the next episode of Series 6, where we're going to finish most of the construction of this oval dining table. The first thing I want to do is sort out some of these old nail holes in there, and as you can see, many of them are stained with black iron oxide that seep into the wood. So to deal with this, we're just going to scrub it with a little bit of a cleaner that contains, I think it's oxalic acid and acetic acid. And I've heard that this is a good way to remove rust stains from wood. Just remove the cleaner with water and a rag. And yeah, that seemed to tidy up the rust a lot. Mostly you can't see any black rust stains once the wood's dried out. And you can also see from the last episode how the grain pops up in places after everything is washed down. So after giving it a bit of a sand and smoothing it out again, it's time to deal with these holes. And my idea is to fill them with some dowels and just some little sunken treasures that I've picked up from the beach here and there. So I'm drilling out the nail holes to the same size as the dowels, and then popping in these 8 and 10 millimeter dowels, and then just popping a little sunken treasure on top of each one, just to make an interesting feature out of all the imperfections in the recycled timber. And I'm pretty happy with the way that this is going to turn out. So this is the bottom of the table, just sawing off the dowels that are protruding out, and then later on I sanded the bottom of the table. So here is some timber to make the legs and braces out of. The legs I'm making out of recycled pallet timber that I've laminated together. If you want to see a video more about how to do that, I'll put a link to it here, and there's a little bit of new timber in there as well. So this is my leg jig, and I'm going to use this to make sexy legs out of these solid bits of laminated timber. So there's just a 1.5 millimeter bevel on each end of it, and I've put a pencil line where each leg, which are 740 millimeters long, goes, and it fits in there really tightly. And then I also clamp it down and run it through the table saw. And once the jig's made, it's a pretty easy process. You just take out the leg, rotate it 90 degrees, put it back in the jig, make sure it's straight, put the clamp back on, and then run it through the table saw. So for each leg, you repeat that process 4 times. And then by the end of it, you have a leg with a nice sort of 1.5 degree bevel all the way down it, starting about 15 centimeters from the top. So this is the way that those legs and the braces will go together. And to join them together, I'm going to use just a screwed and glued butt joint, which I think is really strong. I've had a lot of success doing it this way, and I use a little jig to try and get the drill holes straight. And then I'm just drilling it out halfway to fit the heads of these long screws through, so that I'll be able to sink it deeply into the braces, and just leaving the points of it poking out at the end. So using this method, I just tap the joining bits of timber together so I can see where those screws want to come out, and then that's where I make the drill hole on each end. And you can see I've just marked one bit of timber so that I can see which way around I originally had it, so that everything matches up exactly. And pop some glue on the ends, and from here it's a pretty straightforward process, just sinking those screws all the way in, and then the screw holes I fill with another bit of dowel, and then just sand it smooth, and that gives you a hidden and really strong butt joint. So I made the 2 ends. Now I have to put the braces that connect them together, and to do that I'm going to use these 15 centimeter stainless steel bolts, and they're going to bolt through these blocks of wood that I'm just gluing and nailing to the inside of each of those long braces. Yeah, and I use the dowel jig again to make sure I get a couple of dowel holes in the right spot, and this will help locate everything when I'm drilling holes and when you have to assemble the piece of furniture. in the final assembly as well. Yeah, and just put a little reciprocal hole in each of the legs so that brace can fit in nicely and exactly. Yeah, and then the holes for the bolts, trying to drill as exactly as I can. So I use this little jig to help the drill go in straight, and that works quite well. Once those little guide holes are through the legs, I just assemble everything back together, clamp everything up, and then drill those pilot holes all the way through. And at this point, I'm marking everything. So 1 dot on one corner, 2 dots on the other corner, and 3 dots on the other one, and so on. And this helps everything go back straight. And then just enlarging those pilot holes to fit the bolts, and then assemble everything together, bolt everything together. And this process was really easy, and I was happy with how nice and square everything came out as well. And there's our base for the table. Just slide the lid on, and that's pretty much all the construction done for the table. So come back in the final episode and we'll finish this table and send it off to its new owner. Thanks for watching. See you in the final episode.